If you guys know me or have been watching the channel for a while, you know that I am a big fan of the Toronto Raptors, and I have been for a while. And in the 2021 and 2022 season so far for the Raptors, while it hasn't necessarily gotten off to a fantastic start for the team going 10-13, the future is definitely looking quite promising for this team, and specifically with one player who they made the very controversial but looking like a very smart decision to select with their 4th overall pick in the NBA draft over Jalen Suggs, and of course, that's the GOAT, Scottie Barnes. Now, what I'm going to be looking at in today's video is analyzing just how good Scottie's been this season, but also looking potentially into the future of how he's probably going to improve a lot under this Raptors system, and I'm going to be discussing what I put in the title, can he be the Raptors franchise player moving forward maybe 3 or 4 years down the road for this team, and potentially into the distant future as well. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video, and let's get straight into it. So when we look at what Scottie Barnes has been doing in his rookie season, only 21 games into his NBA career, this is very, very impressive stuff, especially considering the expectations. He wasn't exactly supposed to be that guy that just explodes in the first year of his career, but so far that is what he has been doing, and he's definitely right now the favorite for Rookie of the Year. Evan Mobley is putting together a very good campaign as well, but I would definitely take Scottie slightly over him right now. Plus, Mobley is missed time and going to miss some more time with an injury, and then Cade Cunningham definitely got off to a really slow start. He is picking it up right now, but again, as of currently, I definitely would still take Scottie Barnes over him as well. So Scottie's been playing extremely well, and it's really a theme you're going to notice throughout my analysis in today's video is really there's nothing that Scottie Barnes can't do on the basketball court. He's just an extremely versatile player that really doesn't have any blatant weaknesses out there, or at least so far in his NBA career, he hasn't really shown any blatant weaknesses yet. I mean, when we start by talking about him offensively, he can pretty much do everything on the offensive side of the floor. I mean, his 6'9" frame makes him unique because he can kind of run that point forward position. The offense can run through him if you need it to. He can even bring the ball up the court, truly run the offense, and also play very effectively in the post. And overall is a fantastic 3-level scorer, and he's showing how he can stretch it out and potentially shoot that 3 a little bit now, and he's also quite a good playmaker. So when we break down just how good of a scorer he's been so far this year, Scottie's averaging over 15 points per game so far in the first 21 games of his career, and shooting a pretty impressive 49% from the field and about 54.5% true shooting. So for the true shooting here, this is pretty much a stat that measures your overall efficiency with a formula. This is slightly below average right now in the NBA just because he's struggling a little bit at the free throw line, only shooting 73% from there so far in his NBA career, but overall a 49% from the field is pretty impressive for Scottie Barnes, and he's showing that he can score pretty much anywhere on the floor. This season so far, he's been pretty dominant at the rim, and we see how he's playing pretty well in the post. Well, when we look at his 3-level scoring stats, he's shooting 62.5% in the restricted area and getting to the rim on a very high volume a lot of times per game, shooting 5 attempts per game at the rim. He can also show that he's also shown so far this year that he can shoot that mid-range shot, which especially in today's NBA, it's good to keep defenses honest by being able to hit this type of shot, shooting 47.3% from the field on about 2.5 attempts per game so far this year for Scottie in that mid-range area. And then when we talk about his 3-point shooting, this has been something that's really interesting for Scottie because especially coming into his NBA career, he was not thought of as a good 3-point shooter at all and almost a liability from 3, and this was his main weakness. At FSU, he only shot 27.5% from 3 last year on only 2 attempts per game, and in the NBA so far, he got off to a slow start shooting this year and really didn't shoot at all that much, only shooting 2 of 13 from 3, but Nick Nurse ever since that time in the last 6 games is really encouraging him to shooting a lot more 3s, and he really has, and he's knocking them down consistently too. In the last 6 games, he shot 13 of 27 from 3, and now overall is shooting about 38% from 3 on the season. So you can see here how Scottie Barnes has really improved his shooting a lot already in the first 21 games of his career, and scoring wise he can definitely do a lot, and this was not even thought of as one of the main parts of his game coming into this season. So the fact that he's already showing this and showing that in maybe 1 or 2 years he could already be averaging 20 points per game with good efficiency, this is obviously extremely promising from the Raptors, and he's showing signs of being a potential franchise player in the future with his scoring ability. And like I mentioned, I haven't even touched on his playmaking yet, which is probably the most unique aspect of his game, I'd say. I mean, so far this year, nearly averaging 3.5 assists per game, and like I mentioned, when he's playing in the post, getting out in transition, or even carrying the ball up the court and having the offense run through him, he has a very high IQ. He can make the right pass at the right time, whether that's a cross-court pass or in the post, whether it's a good no-look pass in transition. Scottie Barnes is overall a very, very good playmaker for a 6'9" power forward. So that's another aspect to his game that I really like as well. So when you look at his overall offensive game, he's absolutely showing signs of potentially being the franchise player down the road in the future if he can get some more development and improvement as well, which it certainly looks like he will. I mean, already in 21 games, already showing this insane offensive dominance and versatility so far for a rookie. Now, in terms of what is actually the most polished and probably the best aspect of Scottie Barnes' game, it's probably his defense. And overall on the defensive end of the floor, his amazing perimeter and interior defense combined really makes him extremely hard to score on that end of the floor, and he's a pretty good off-ball defender too as well. And Scottie Barnes being a good defender was really the main reason that the Raptors did draft him over Jalen Suggs in the first place. And it's not like his shooting where it was kind of unexpected that he would do this well, but his defense, they did really expect great defense from him and great energy on that end of the floor from him this season, and they have definitely got that. And my favorite thing about Scottie Barnes on the defensive end of the floor is how he's not scared of any matchup, even at the NBA level, only 20 games into his NBA career. I mean, he's matched up and done a pretty good job against some of the league's best superstars and most potent scorers, guys like Luka Doncic, James Harden, Jason Tatum, and some of the league's borderline stars as well, like Chris Middleton, Domantas Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon, and much more. So you can see that Scottie is definitely a fearless defender. When we look at some stats defensively, if you guys know me, and especially if you watch that top 20 defenders list that I made, I really don't like using stats for defense because I don't find them as accurate, especially stats like steals and blocks, which Scottie is averaging just over a steal per game and just under a block per game, which is really nice for my fantasy team at least, but it doesn't really show just how good of a defender he is. He has a defensive field goal percentage of 47.3 so far this year, which is kind of around that average stage, but this is really low considering some of the matchups I just mentioned of what the superstars that he's gone head to head against. And overall, when you watch him play, his lateral movement on the perimeter is very impressive, and that combined with his size and how he can be a very good post defender, a very good interior defender, and do the little things really well defensively is honestly giving him a strong case to already potentially be a top 30 defender in the NBA right now. So the defense from Scottie has been very impressive as well, and this is something that you want from a potential leader and franchise player moving forward in the future of your franchise. And you know the Raptors system, they really pride themselves on great defense, a good defensive system. Scottie can pretty much guard anyone 1 through 5, which really fits well into their defensive system right now, which is really more switchable, and I think he really just is doing a great job on the defensive end and fits in really well with the Raptors' defensive system overall. One of the little things I just wanted to briefly mention here before I move on is just how good of a rebounder Scottie Barnes is as well. I mean, he's always looking to get on the boards, whether it's on the offensive or defensive side of the floor. I mean, last night against the Bucks, he had pretty much the game-winning rebound as he tapped out a missed free throw from Precious Achiuwa, and the little things like this is what makes Scottie such a good player as well. I mean, he's definitely one of the best rebounding non-centers in the league right now. So far in this year, averaging 8 rebounds per game, 3.2 contested rebounds per game, and a 40% contested rebound percentage, which is pretty impressive as well. So he's a really good rebounder. Just wanted to briefly mention that as well. So when I look at answering the question that I posed in this video, can Scottie Barnes be the franchise player for the Raptors down the road into their future? Now this is a really tough question here because it depends on a couple things. I mean, with the analysis I've given in today's video, pretty much giving that only in the first 20 games of Scottie Barnes' career, he's already shown that he can do everything, every single little aspect of the game of basketball pretty well, scoring pretty much anywhere on the court, being a good post player, playmaker, playing the point forward position, being a great perimeter interior defender, a great rebounder, literally doing everything relatively well and at sometimes an elite level like his defense. He definitely has the potential to be that franchise player type of player down the road in the future. I mean, he's obviously not there yet despite having an insane start to the year for a rookie, but you can tell that the Raptors are obviously very invested in developing Scottie Barnes and getting him to the point where he can be that really dominant star player, all-star type of player. I mean, you look at the thing with Nick Nurse, really encourage him to shoot more. You see development coaches working with him all the time in practice, really improving the aspects of his game that continue to need slight improvements. And it's really clear that Scottie Barnes definitely could develop into an all-star type of player very soon. In my opinion, I'm very high on Scottie. I honestly think he could be an all-star in this league as soon as in 2 or 3 years. Now the question here is, will he be the #1 guy on this team? Because especially really in the first 10 games that I watched Scottie, I already saw that there was really something special with his game, but I thought of guys like Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, and will they be with the team in the future? And if they are, will they still be those main franchise guys? And Scottie Barnes will be more of a really good defensive specialist and more of a role player and third option type of scorer. But after watching him for a little bit more and getting a bigger sample size of what he's doing, I honestly think it really is legitimately possible that Scottie Barnes in 3 to 4 years maybe becomes the best player and franchise player on this team that the Raptors now want to build around. And that's really saying something considering I've only seen him play 21 games in his NBA career, but he's just that special of a player. And not to mention too that we really don't know what guys like Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet are going to do with the future of their careers. I mean, as a Raptors fan, it really hurts to say this, but these guys might not be on the team in 3 to 4 years when the Raptors are looking more towards their future. So overall, when you look at the whole situation here and just how much potential and upside Scottie Barnes has and has shown so far this season, I truly do think that he could potentially be the franchise player of this Raptors team that they build the rest of their team around in the future, 2 to 4 years down the road. So there you have it. That's all I've got for you guys in today's video. Those are my thoughts and analysis on Scottie Barnes, how he's done so far this season, and why I ultimately think that not only should he be the clear favorite so far in the 2022 season for the Rookie of the Year award, but that also I legitimately think that he could be the franchise player for the Raptors down the road into their near future. So that's my thoughts on Scottie Barnes and why I think he could be the franchise player on the Raptors. What do you guys think? Be sure to leave your comments down below on your thoughts on Scottie Barnes and if you think he can really be that franchise player for the Raptors in the future. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.